Mhm. Hi, I am Dr. Tranquility Lydia, and we are here on Conscious Dating and Relationships by Dr. Tranquility, me. So we have an amazing guest today. Her name is Catherine Auman. Auman. Oman. I'm going to ask her about Auman. Catherine Auman. There we go. And she is an LMFT, licensed marriage and family therapist. She is out on the West Coast. She has a protocol and a book called Tantra Dating. And we are so excited to have her. I'm going to bring her on and then we're going to tell you a little bit about her background, which is amazing. And we're so honored and blessed to have her with us today. Hi, Catherine. How are you?
Hi, Lydia. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you. Well, your background is extensive and amazing. You're, of course, in private practice. You've worked in psychiatric hospitals and treatment facilities. You were the director of behavioral health at one hospital. You've taught psychology and counseling at JFK University, and you have founded the Transpersonal Center. In addition to all of that, as if that's not enough, she's made appearances as a mental health expert on Extra and was even featured on an episode of Vice. An award-winning author with 4 books. We are going to concentrate today, because we can't get them all in, with Tantra Dating and Bliss Body, 2 books that I highly recommend, and you can find them at catherineoman.com. Hello.
Hi there.
So, my goodness, I'm so honored and blessed to have you with me today. And I want to just jump right in with some yummy goodness. So, usually when people think of tantric dating or tantra, they're actually thinking of sex, but there's a lot more involved in tantra than just sex. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, that's always the prejudice we have to get over right away. People think that we're going to be having orgies and all kinds of strange sexual practices and stuff. And some people involved in tantra might do that. We're not into that. Tantra actually is a spiritual path that holds that all is sacred. So back in the day, that meant that sex was sacred too, and that kind of got some people rattled because, as you know, in many religions, they don't think sex is sacred. They think it's something that is actually a little bit the opposite of sacred. So this created a split and created the idea that tantric people were somehow not spiritual and so forth. So in Tantra, we practice seeing everything as sacred, and that includes sexuality.
Wonderful. Well, I know that when we talk about tantra, in terms of tantric dating, it's a whole different thing. And you even spent a year at a tantric ashram. Is that correct?
I did. So it's been about 7 years ago now, I found myself single again. And it was a major birthday. And I thought, here I am. My life is great. I love my work. I have great friends. I have a cute apartment. I have a cat. My relationship life has been a disaster. And I'm a marriage and family therapist, so I'm supposed to know about this stuff. And I had 2 marriages that I wanted to work out that didn't. And I had tried so many relationships and so much dating. And I decided 7 years ago, I'm just going to get this. I'm going to figure it out. So I like to tell this little story that I called a friend of mine in the Bay Area who was online dating. And I said, could we like help each other and kind of coach each other? And she said, sure. So we started doing that a couple nights a week, and then she found somebody. So,
Wow. Well,
so
you're
I
a
was,
good coach and a good therapist.
um, well, thank you. I don't think it was due to me. I think that I don't know what it was. So anyway, I hired a coach. I went back to therapy. I went on 5 online dating sites. I went to about 20 meetups. I started just doing whatever I could think of to meet men. And And in the background, I kept thinking, you know, I lived in that Tantra ashram for a year and things were different there. What was it? How could I date as a spiritual person? How could I bring my spiritual beliefs into the dating process? Because the dating process here in the West seems so cold and kind of mean and very dismissive, throw
Yes.
people in the trash. And I thought, how can I be a spiritual person dating? So I remembered back to when I'd lived at the ashram. I was there for a full year in India. And it wasn't the kind of
Wonderful.
ashram where you just sit around eating brown rice and meditating. We meditated, but we also were practicing this worldview that all is sacred. And we were taking workshops together. And people there met as friends first and then decided if a sexual friendship was possible. And so it was the opposite of how we do it here. And
Okay.
it really worked, because if you were friends with somebody and you then had it evolved into a sexual friendship, and then perhaps it wasn't working out, you didn't just really hate the person because you were friends with them.
Right.
So then when so I remembered that part of it, and I remembered that everyone at the ashram was there seeing each other as spiritual brothers and sisters, helping each other grow. And I thought, that is such a beautiful way to view each other when we're dating,
Yeah.
that we're on a spiritual path and we're helping each other grow. And if we're not meant to be together, there's nothing wrong with you or me.
That's true. I
And
love the way you look at it.
this is very radical in the mainstream culture here. And so I started using dating in the 3.5 years that I was intensively dating, trying to figure this thing out. I went on over 150 first dates, and that's not
Wow.
count. I know. I didn't really want to go on that many, but that's what it took. And that's not counting the men I met that didn't turn into first dates or whatever. I was determined to figure this out. And I started seeing these first coffee dates as, this is how I can practice my spiritual path, as how could I have as loving an encounter with this person as possible, instead of like, you don't meet my criteria, so I can't wait till this date's over.
Right. Sort of
This was a
meeting
waste
them
of time.
sort of meeting them where they are inside of you, almost embodying.
And realizing that this is the person that I can love in this moment.
Wonderful.
This might not be my great love of my life, but this is who existence or the universe has put for me to love right now. So this wasn't easy, but I kept trying to practice it and practice it and practice it, because if we're in a spiritual frame of mind that love is here and everything's perfect in this moment, then this person is my opportunity to love this person right now.
Wonderful.
And I started practicing that, and eventually I met my husband, the love of my life, by doing this. So I
Wonderful.
know it works. And then I decided, I want to teach other people this. And I wrote my little book, and I just didn't really imagine that it would turn into much. It's actually becoming more successful as we move along.
I think people are opening up.
It just won an award for one of the best dating books of all time.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I was pretty surprised. And I've been
I'm not.
teaching a monthly workshop on it also here in Los Angeles.
Wonderful. And do you do these workshops online as well?
I don't. I tried to figure out how to do it during the pandemic, but I just couldn't figure it out. I have other workshops that I teach online, but not the singles tantric dating. I still should probably try to figure that out.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, we're going to come right back with Catherine Auman. Auman. I'm saying
Almond, like the
Auman.
nut.
Auman. I'm saying everything but Auman. This is the Lydia curse with names. And I do a talk show, so go figure. But Auman. And it's a beautiful last name. So
Thank you.
yeah. So we're going to be right back, and you come back and join us in just a sec.
people how to live healthier lives by using natural forms of healthcare. Are you lacking energy, having pain, trouble sleeping, or always under the weather? We have good news. We can teach you how to take control of your health using natural solutions. Just send us a message at info@twoswans.life. That's TWO swans.life to claim your free gifts. Hi, I am Dr. Tranquility, and I want to tell you about my protocol, date therapy. It's been seen on BBC and The View and Fox and abcnews.com and so many other places. It's an inside-out protocol. So if you're really trying to figure out what it is that you're looking for, maybe you're new to the dating game, perhaps you're back in the dating game after a breakup or a divorce, this is a protocol that helps you get in touch with your true desires, your wants, and it helps you to formulate a sort of guide on a subconscious level that you can then use with matchmakers and dating sites and Tinder and everything else you want to use it with to really cut through the BS, yeah? Cut through all the extraneous stuff and just get to the core of what you're looking for and what your desires are. Date therapy. You'll find it on datetherapy.com. I am Dr. Tranquility. Stay tuned. Dr. Tranquility talks conscious dating and relationships of all kinds. Stay tuned and we'll be right back.
And we are back with Catherine Auman. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist who is an award-winning author, another award for her book on Tantra Dating. She has won 4 or 5, I believe, by now. And we are talking about her books, Tantra Dating and Bliss Body. I love the name of that book. And we're going to be talking about Tantra and psychedelics, and just about Tantra in general to dispel some of the myths that are out there and help you see that as conscious dating people, we are welcoming and open to Tantra as a practice and as a doorway into finding what it is that we need. So, Catherine, thank you so much for coming back with us.
Thanks for having me, Lydia.
Tell us, what was the impetus for writing Bliss Body, and for getting into Tantra in general? Because you come from a very traditional background in so many ways.
Well, actually, my background is half traditional and half, we could say, counterculture, because my graduate work was done in transpersonal psychology. So transpersonal psychology is where we study mainstream psychology, but we also study every other form of personal and spiritual growth. So we looked into Eastern religions, we looked into Native American traditions, we looked into the psychedelic research that was going on at the time and is having a resurgence now. We looked into Tantra, we looked into the occult. That didn't say we were in favor of all these things, we just explored them all. And so everything was open for looking into it. So I found myself attracted to a teacher of Tantra. The people seemed to just be more alive and radiant and glowing, and I wanted some of that. So,
yeah.
So I could
put
see
it in a bottle.
Exactly. I want to buy that. So I started doing some studying, and as we talked about a little earlier, I had to sidestep some of the things that weren't particularly to my liking. But I found that this whole idea that sex is sacred, love is sacred, loving everyone is sacred. This just really resonated with me as a spirituality and a psychology that was something that worked for me. So I started studying that quite a long time ago and have come along and now teaching it, as you know.
That's amazing. What is something that you hope that your clients get out of tantric work or
Well,
tantric practices? I don't want to call it work.
I
Tantric
think
practices.
I think it's really to understand that I think the message of Tantra is really about love, even though that's obviously not its reputation, but it is about being using sex to increase the love between you and your partner, not turning off your sexuality, but being able to be a sexually alive person, um, and being able to treat potential dating partners lovingly. Um, as I said, the conventional dating process here in the West is not about love at all. It's about I take my shopping list into dating, and if you don't meet my shopping list, I'm actually kind of cold to you. Like, get out of here. This is a waste of time. So
Right.
girlfriends will call each other out after a date and be like, "Oh God, I wasted my time with that guy." And in Tantra, we would say, it's not a waste of your time. It was an opportunity to be loving to your fellow human. And this was where love and joy were possible in this moment. Can we take advantage of that instead of just throwing people out with the trash? Swipe left,
Yeah,
So
right.
I
Correct.
think that at all of the end of all of our workshops, I say, please go out and spread some more love, because people in the workshops find themselves opening up a little bit more in love to strangers. But we could say that strangers are just friends we haven't met yet, and
Right.
opening up a little bit more in love, and then hopefully taking that out into the world, because it looks to me like the world could use a little more.
Oh, it could use a lot more. Put it in the bottle and pour it.
Exactly.
So, why do you think love hurts so much?
Well, I think love hurts so much because we haven't yet learned how to open our hearts enough. And so we keep getting, there's a quote from Khalil Gibran that I love, which is that pain is the breaking of the shell of our understanding. So I think when we
Mm.
try to go into a relationship, I know I tried to love guys just because they were beautiful or just because they were attractive or sexy or something. And it's like, that's not really a good motive.
Right.
So my heart would break to teach me a little bit more about what is a good motive to love another person. Not just because they're
Wonderful.
good looking, or not just because they make X amount of money, or they're so cool or whatever, but it's like, where's the lovingness in this encounter? So I think my heart broke many times, I think, to help me become a more loving person and be able to attract my partner where we do share love on a very deep level.
Wonderful. So, what I have to ask, what is something that you would like for people to know about Bliss Body?
Well, Bliss Body is a fun novel. It's about coincidentally, it's about a woman who goes to a tantra ashram in India and has a lot of encounters that teach her about love and
Oh,
about
wonderful.
sex and about becoming friends with lovers and having a different attitude. So I tried to make it kind of a teaching story in a novel form. I was hoping it would be um, more fun to read for some people that way. And
Mhm.
hopefully that's true. And that's going to be coming out right after the first of the year.
Oh, well, we're going to look for it. We are going to look for it. Let's get into some other stuff because you do so many wonderful things. Tell us a bit about Tantra and psychedelics.
I would be happy to. My husband and I had some experiences which were quite strange to us. We made love for a few hours and started seeing things and little pleasant hallucinations and things, and we were shocked and did some research and found out that this is a thing. This actually is something that happens to people. And a woman named Dr. Jenny Wade had put a book together called Transcendent Sex, where people also had been surprised by all kinds of strange phenomena that happened while they were having sex. They might experience seeing lights. They might experience seeing the divinity in their partner. They might experience seeing their partner as a god or goddess. They might experience themselves kind of turning into animals. They might experience like a cosmic unity. And all of these experiences are kind of what we could call psychedelic, because they're also similar experiences that people have on psychedelic drugs. So I put together a talk that's been very popular on how you can have psychedelic experiences, how psychedelic experiences are possible through sexuality. Because for us, that was eye-opening. We didn't know that that was possible, and other
Yes.
people have not been told that that's possible. So when
I
we
wasn't.
when we can hear that that's a possibility, then all new realms open up for us in terms of what is making love about. Maybe it is sacred. Maybe it's a way of worshiping the divine, not only in our partner, but getting in touch with a more loving, cosmic kind of reality.
Wonderful. Now, what have you found to be helpful about MDMA in couples therapy?
Well,
Because there's a lot of talk about it right now. It's
yes,
very
it's
hot.
actually illegal, so I can't say that I've done it. It was more like I
Okay.
thought about it. I may have done it recreationally myself, but it's not legal to do it with, not legal to do that, but it's also not legal to do it with, as a therapist with clients. But there have been some legal research actually being done on the use of MDMA, which, as your listeners probably know, is also called ecstasy, in the treatment of PTSD. And that is showing that these veterans with this terrible PTSD from the wars and PTSD is normally very hard to treat, and MDMA is showing amazing results. So we're
Wonderful.
expecting that to be legalized maybe as early as 2022. And so I did this, put together a presentation on what if it would be legalized for couples, because MDMA opens your heart and makes you feel very hard word,
Empathetic.
empathetic, thank
Empath.
you, empathetic towards your partner or whoever you're with. And so I thought, well, that could be part of couples therapy. It certainly wouldn't solve everyone's problems. So just because you have a 4 to 6 hour heart opening with your partner doesn't mean you're not going to ever bicker again, or some of these long-term problems aren't there. But it
Right.
is possible to make a dent in reconnecting, going back to that place where we were really in love, crazy in love, remembering that connection. And that in itself can be very healing as part of a therapy, as part of a way to help a couple who's in trouble reconnect, fall in love again, have some fun, remember what it's like when we're focusing more on the love than on the problems. So hopefully
Wonderful.
that will become legalized in the next year or so. I
Hopefully.
think it would be exciting.
Yes. Well, I'm just curious as to your thoughts, if you have any, on psilocybin. And I know they're doing a lot of clinical trials here in dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and depression. In New York, there are some. And if we
It,
have them, you must have them out there.
we definitely do. And they're showing good results. What I'm finding in my practice is that there's a little bit of, since Michael Pollan wrote his book, How to Change Your Mind, I get a lot of calls from people who are thinking that to take psilocybin is going to cure all their problems in one shot.
Yeah.
And that is, none of the research is showing that.
Right.
The research is showing that therapy can, in conjunction with psychedelics, or coaching in conjunction with psychedelics, can be very beneficial. One of our friends went through one of these studies, and he said the therapy was actually more helpful than the psilocybin itself. So
Okay.
that was his opinion, but in conjunction with therapy or coaching, it appears to be a very exciting new possibility.
Oh, that sounds great. And I know that you have a few events coming up. Um, in fact, you're doing one on Tantra, creating your soulmate. On
Yes,
January, is that coming up on January 22nd?
it is. And also that same day, it's we're doing 2 workshops, which people can either come to one separately or both together for a discounted price. It's Tantra, the Science of Creating Your Soulmate, and Tantra, the Foundations of Conscious Touch. And these were workshops before the pandemic we were doing live, but we got them down into 2-hour online segments so people can come
Wow.
from anywhere. And so obviously we're not doing as much exercises, but we're also trying to teach experientially through some exercises. They're both totally G-rated, so it's kind of an easy way to ease into learning about Tantra. They're both G-rated, they're both very safe. And Science of Creating Your Soulmate is about how we can approach love in a loving way to create a soulmate type relationship. The way we learn to try to attract a soulmate relationship in the West, as you know, as the dating therapist, is leading people to kind of strange expectations and magical thinking and Prince Charming riding up on a horse or whatever.
Yes.
And it's not creating the kind of relationships that are very nourishing to people. So that's what we teach in that one. And then Conscious Touch is about touching mindfully and slowly, not just trying to get somebody off, but trying to be loving and nurturing in this moment and really express our love through our hands and our whole bodies. And that's really the underlying all of tantric sex.
That's beautiful. So I'm just curious, with given what you've said, what are your thoughts on tantric speed dating?
I think it's a great idea. I'm not sure what it is. I know there's a guy who does it from New York, and he's building a little empire, flying out all around the world to do these tantric speed dates.
Yeah.
I think I actually don't know. One of my patients went to it and loved it, and another one went and said he felt too close too early. So I actually don't know.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I was just curious because it seems to be the new thing that's starting to pick up here in the city, and I know out in California. So I said, I have to ask her, Catherine, what she thinks about this, since she's our tantric expert. And what is something that you would really like for people to know about you when they come into practice with you? And I know that you're in Los Angeles, but we do have listeners out there. So,
well, I do work with people from the East Coast. So my practice, since it's all online, is with people from everywhere.
Oh, wonderful.
And I really work with people who are interested in both the spiritual and the psychological aspects of life. And that's some of my specialized training that other therapists don't have.
That is very specialized.
So that's usually who's attracted to working with me, is they say, oh, I couldn't find anybody with your special skill set. And I said, well, there's not a lot. I'm not the only one, but there's not a lot of us.
No, there aren't. And where do you recommend that people find you when they're looking for you?
Well, you can go on YouTube. I have a whole YouTube channel. I have new videos coming out every Thursday. So I have a lot of free information on there about Tantra, relationships, tantric dating, a little bit on psychedelics, because I find that very interesting as well. But mostly Tantra, relationships, tantric dating. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm not as active there. And check out my website.
Great. And give us your handles on Instagram and Facebook, and also your website.
They're all the same. It's Catherine Auman. Catherine spelled with a C, CATHERENEAUMAN. You'll probably have that in the notes, right?
Yes, it'll be in the notes for the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. So wonderful. So I'm just so excited and honored that you could stop by and that you've been able to give us some insight into Tantra, because I had some misgivings just initially because of what I'd heard about it. And then I thought, that doesn't make any sense. So a scientist explores, right? So we're going to go. And I've started to just do a little bit of sticking my toe into a couple of live Zooms, which was a little bit overwhelming, but I was really glad I did it. And
thanks for your open-mindedness.
Yes, well, we all need to be open-minded. If we remain closed, we're in trouble. So I highly recommend that you check out Catherine Auman's website, and it's simply catherineauman.com. You've got no reason not to go. And is your YouTube the same?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so there you are. You've heard it from the lady herself. You've got to go and check it out. She has some amazing videos. I did see a couple of them, and I'm so honored that you had the time in your schedule to stop by today. And those of you who are going to hear us Friday at noon on AM and FM nationally in 13 markets, and also those of you who are going to watch this when it's live as an event next week next Wednesday at 5. We're just so honored and we're so blessed, and I'm so grateful to have had you on and to be able to speak with you.
Thank
And we
you.
worked hard, guys. We worked hard for this interview. This we really wanted Catherine to come on. We worked really hard to bring this to you. So thank you very much, Catherine.
Thank you so much. Such an
And
honor to be here.
be happy and be well. Oops, not the way to go. Although that's lovely. Catherine is such a wonderful person. You know, she has a very busy schedule. This is a pre-record, as those of you who have found us know that we didn't announce that we're popping on, because we don't with pre-records, as sometimes we have to edit. We did not with Catherine. She is an amazing guest and it was an amazing show. And I thank you so much for being with us today. And check out Two Swans and Date Therapy and Catherine Auman, and you'll find great information and wonderful people sharing it with you. I'm Lydia Belton, Dr. Tranquility, and I thank you so much for being with us today. Take care, be kind with each other and to each other. Be well.